everyone, and welcome to another episode of The Glittering Bell Jar. I am your host, Valerie. I am joined, as always, by my co-host, Bree, and we are working our way backwards through Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince. That is our thing. We're reading the books backwards. If you've never heard of us before, now you know. Do you want to stick it out? We are halfway. This is the halfway point of Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince. There are 30 chapters. We are at we're at episode 15, but it's chapter 17. It's just the way it works out. I don't really know how the math is working. I'm not really sure why. Oh, no, wait. This is my bad. I forgot to switch to the next chapter. We are at the halfway point. So we are going to be covering chapter 16 today. This is episode 15. There are 30 chapters. So we are crossing the halfway point in this episode and the next one. And I am very excited to dive in. But first, I have a very important question. How's it going today, Bree?
I am good. Although, I must say, hopefully our YouTube followers noticed, I have never worn nail polish on this show, and Valerie, you're like a nail polish queen, and I didn't get a single compliment.
No. First of all, I am not a nail polish queen, or I would have commented. Second of all, you can't see it. These are my Hufflepuff Yellow. I am still rocking Hufflepuff Yellow, and they are so chippy and disgusting. I am the opposite of a nail queen. I get served that junk on Instagram, and I don't know why it's always on my Discover page, other than it's kind of weirdly fascinating to watch them put on fake nails and like shape their fingers. I don't know. I don't like it. It's like, I don't know. I'm sorry if this grosses anyone out because it grosses me out to say, but it's like popping zits. Like that's how watching nail art being done is for me. I don't know why, but Instagram knows and they keep showing it to me. And that is not how my nails ever look. I assure you, I have nail polish and I put it on myself. Anyway, your nails look lovely. What color?
Well, thank you. It's like my friend Sophia did it. It's the little nail dipper thing. It's actually quite fascinating.
Like the powder stuff?
Yeah. Yeah, I like it.
Does it come off quickly? This is an important question. We have to discuss this.
I've only had it since a couple days. So
yeah, looks nice. Days. It's a fun blue color, like Easter egg or Tiffany blue or something like that.
Yeah,
I like it. I like it very much.
Thank you. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm good. I'm feeling a little tired today. Yep, I have been hard at work getting ready to go on a trip, which is always fun. It's part of the job. For those of you who don't know, in addition to Harry Potter, I also run a travel blog, and I'm going on a trip soon. So I've been working, not even able to get words out of how much I've done because I've put all my words into my work today. But other than that, I've been great. How do you feel about just jumping into this chapter?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, chapter 16, take it away.
A very frosty Christmas. It's Christmas at the Weasleys with many people there celebrating. The Weasley kids, all except Percy, who is busy at the ministry, plus Charlie, probably off traveling somewhere. Fleur, Harry, and Lupin are also there celebrating. During Christmas dinner, Percy and the Minister of Magic drop by, and Scrimgeour requests that Harry go on a walk with him. He attempts to get Harry to show and tell people that he approves of the ministry, and Harry immediately tells him no, and that he doesn't approve of him putting good people in Azkaban, so the public believes he's making strides against Voldemort. And that's basically where the chapter ends.
That's pretty much it. I will still read the last sentence. So as usual, since we're reading the book backward, we always start by reading the last sentence of the chapter, and then we read the chapter. So here we go. Dumbledore's man through and through, aren't you, Potter? Said Scrimgeour. Yeah, I am, said Harry. Glad we got that straightened out. And turning his back on the Minister of Magic, he strode back toward the house. I will point out.
Go ahead. No, you're good.
Nope.
I love their exchange. We can talk about it in a bit, but since it was that last sentence, I just wanted to say I really, truly did love their exchange. It shows how brave and strong and in his own, Harry was during that exchange. He was very proud of himself and not scared to say whatever he wanted to.
Yeah, it's almost audacious to think, like, if you met the president, that's basically, he's like talking to the president, or like talking to, I don't know, like the secretary of the department of whatever, in the government. And he's like, I am not impressed by you. And I'm not going to pretend like I am. And I'm not going to give you respect you haven't earned. Which I think we would all be better served by channeling a bit sometimes. Like if you are not impressed by a person in power, you shouldn't feel like you have to be impressed by them or pretend to be. But I do love this interaction between them because it does show Harry coming into confidence in himself and like sticking it to Scrimgeour with the scars on the back of his hand. Like he's literally been physically maimed by an employee of the ministry and who Scrimgeour uses Umbridge trying to like lure Harry in, and he's like, you clearly don't understand me and you don't understand what happened. And I'm not even, I would rather not have a job as an Auror than have anything to do with Dolores Umbridge. Like, that's how much I hate this woman. And I don't know whether that's me saying that or Harry saying that, but we agree.
Yeah, agreed. I know at first I didn't remember that he showed him, and I was like, Harry, you have to tell him. And then he did it, and I was like, yes.
Yeah, he just puts his hand up. I must not tell lies.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was actually going to say the thing that I kind of got stuck on is the chapter title. So it's A Very Frosty Christmas. And I was like really trying to figure out if this was a little clever joke like episode 12, which was chapter 19, Elf Tales, where right at the end of that episode, I finally spelled out the name of the title and got the joke of like the elves are tailing Malfoy. But this one is just like a descriptor, right? Like I'm not missing something here. I feel like I'm missing something here.
No, you're right. It's not a descriptor. A Very Frosty Christmas. I think it's because, so if you didn't read the chapter, basically, and I didn't quite explain it, but since Fleur is there, Fleur and, well, Ginny and Mrs. Weasley do not get along. They're very opposite. And they kind of stiff each other throughout the entire episode. They take little nips at each other. And I do think that is what, you did catch it. I don't think it means snow. I think it means frosty, as in the air was cold.
Emotionally frosty. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Like, okay. But and then there's also like Percy shows up and Scrimgeour shows up and Harry's very frosty with him. Okay, I got it. I think that's what I understood it to mean. I just wasn't sure if it was like a clever twist, like the Elf Tales was. Like that one definitely got me, and I was like, dang, I just learned something new in the spelling of this chapter.
I mean, I think it is a clever use, but you just happen to catch it. Or happen to. You always tend to catch it, so... Yeah.
finally caught it. I don't know how many times I've read this book and I finally got that. So one of the things that I wanted to chat about, and again, as a reminder, since we're reading this backwards, Bree and I do not watch the movies. We don't read any of the other books and we don't watch the movies while we're in process of making this show, which is like the hardest thing in the world. Actually, I saw part of Chamber of Secrets on the TV a few weeks ago while I was traveling, and I was like, really confused because I haven't watched it in so long. I didn't recognize half the scenes. Anyway, one of the scenes I love that I wish was in the book that is in the movie. So we're getting into like a interesting dynamic where usually I don't love what's in the movie, right? It's like not my favorite. There's the scene where Harry and Arthur Weasley talk about Malfoy's plans. And that happens in the book, but it happens in the sitting room where Lupin's there and Mr. Weasley's there, and they're all kind of like quietly chatting in the corner. And they don't talk about the Vanishing Cabinets, which I mentioned a few episodes is one of my favorite things in the whole series, is how the Vanishing Cabinets are this thread that runs through them. Anyway, I just really like this scene. I really like how Harry has these other adults that he can talk to, and he uses that opportunity. I think for a young wizard who does not have parents and doesn't confide in McGonagall and kind of confides in Dumbledore, but that's only really a new thing. He doesn't have Sirius anymore, that he goes to other adults he knows and trusts, and not Mrs. Weasley, who would get really emotional about it. Because love Molly Weasley, but she has a tendency to react highly emotionally to anything that might be a threat to her children, of which she counts Harry one of them. I think it's just really smart, and I really enjoy this interaction, seeing Harry interact with other adults and be treated somewhat like an equal again. He's kind of becoming an equal with these witches and wizards that he has surrounded himself with.
Yeah, that's a really good catch, and you're right. And I think as we go along, it will be fun to see him kind of go backwards through how now he is kind of that equal, but it is so nice to see that he has those people, and then now watch them protect him as he goes back and isn't quite as maybe he's not as talented and powerful, so they have to protect him a little bit more because he is younger. So yeah, you're right. It was very nice. And it was nice that I just like that he's at the Weasleys for Christmas, where we've progressed from, sometimes the Weasleys, they go visit Charlie or they go somewhere else, and Harry's kind of stuck by himself for Christmas break. And I just love that he got to be there, and it just shows just how, and he was so comfortable being there. It felt like he literally felt like he was a part of that family. And I really, I enjoyed that for him.
Yeah. I don't know though. I personally would love to spend Christmas at Hogwarts.
True. That is fair. Yeah.
I mean, the very first year, it's like it's like Christmas, a picture perfect postcard of, it's like a Hallmark movie Christmas, like at a castle, and you're roasting things by the fire, and you have a snowball fight, and then you go have a feast with chipolatas, which are sausages, and I love sausages. And if you're watching on YouTube, my arms are swinging wildly like a Sound of Music thing is happening over here. I mean, the Burrow sounds lovely, but I think I would also love a Hogwarts Christmas. And maybe as part of promoting this episode, we will ask the people on the social medias which one they would
Mm.
choose, because it's kind of interesting. Like, if you could only have one magical Christmas, would it be at the Burrow with the best magical family in the entire world, or would it be at Hogwarts?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, well, considering I would feel weird because they don't know me, I would definitely choose Hogwarts.
Well, assuming they knew you, okay, like, well, put that in the social media prompt so people realize you've made friends with one of the Weasleys and they invited you for Christmas. Would you rather be at their house or at Hogwarts? Okay.
Fair.
Other thing I wanted to chat about, I don't know if you caught this, and I don't really have organized thoughts on it, but the idea that Lupin is serving as a spy. And he's
Yeah.
doing a lot of similar work to what Snape is doing. He's kind of embedding himself on Dumbledore's orders with a very degenerate group of people to serve Dumbledore. It's like a parallel I'd never picked up on. And it's because we've discussed Snape so much. But I was just curious if you had any thoughts on that.
I don't know that I understand it fully, you know, like it's almost cruel, and I know that Dumbledore is all about the greater good, but Lupin does not consider himself a werewolf, and he absolutely hates that part of him. And to make him go and be a part of that, you know, maybe it's cruel, or maybe it was Dumbledore's way of being like, there are good people in that group, or also like you are not that part of yourself. You know, you're obviously more like, you know, a regular uh, wizard. But yeah, it's I didn't even remember that he did that, frankly, and
Mm-hmm.
it's very sad because Lupin obviously he's very hard on himself, and he doesn't quite love himself. He's never learned to love himself, and I found it kind of sad.
Right. And it's not even the only time that Dumbledore does that. So it's like Dumbledore sends Hagrid to go emissary to the giants. And Hagrid again
Yep.
doesn't even acknowledge his giantess mother. You know, it's not even something he'd ever told Harry about. That's
Mm-hmm.
we're obviously in Goblet of Fire that we're talking about at this particular instance. But like, Dumbledore does in this way to me, again, to me it underscores that the foundational part of his character that made him susceptible to Grindelwald's greater good argument, that he drank the Kool-Aid that Grindelwald was saying, if we, you know, he still has that way of strategically mechanizing the people around him to use them as tools for what he thinks the outcome should be. And it's for the greater good. And yeah, we agree it is, because it defeats Voldemort, but it like puts these people, it puts Snape, who hates this evil part of himself and would do anything to undo what he's done, makes him serve a spy. He makes Lupin serve a spy. He makes Hagrid basically serve as spy, because they don't really accomplish anything other than just observing the giants and trying not to die, which is kind of what being a spy is. We're watching The Night Manager right now. That's just being a spy is just like keeping an eye out, passing on messages, and not getting killed. That's your whole goal. Anyway, it's kind of like I never really had caught and like put together that this is. It's not like Snape being a spy is a unique thing to Snape. Dumbledore does this with anybody he thinks can do this kind of work for him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the worst part of it is, to me, is that Dumbledore and Hagrid and even Snape, he is the only person, not only, but the main one or the first one who have accepted these people despite this main quote unquote flaw, you know, where
Mm-hmm.
giants are seen
Mm-hmm.
as, you know, dumb or not as good, and, you know, werewolves are dangerous, and, you know, Snape is evil and a Death Eater. And he kind of accepts him and loves him for that, but then he uses that. And so they're like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, well, Dumbledore's always accepted me. I have to do this for him. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
dang, Dumbledore. It's kind of mean.
He is in this book. I think I see more of what Aberforth describes in Deathly Hallows, with my brother's always scheming. He always has a plan, and it's not always in your best interest, Potter. Because we see
Mm,
that. I mean, we even see it in his interactions with Harry. He manipulates Harry to get Harry to do what he wants.
yep.
Yeah, you can come with me to get a Horcrux. Only if you agree you'll do everything I tell you to do.
Yep.
That's not a fair deal. That's not a consent, right? Like I'm putting a strong condition of your obedience on your consent, and I can override your consent by ordering you to do something. That's no longer consent. We can agree. But he does that with all of them. He puts them in positions where he's built a relationship. And I don't mean to like bash on Dumbledore. Obviously, I generally support what Dumbledore is doing, and I like his character, and I think he is, despite how it might be when you look at it from a strategic level where it seems kind of cold and calculating, he does it with
Mm-hmm.
good intentions and with love for the people he's employing to do this work. He loves these people, he cares for them, but it is
Yeah.
still manipulate. You can manipulate people you love and still love them. It's certainly possible. mean, it's
Yeah.
kind of what Aberforth says. Like, he learned this from our mother. This is how we expressed our affection in our family, was to do this to each other.
Damn. Yeah, that's true. Wow. Yeah, good catch.
Speaking of affection, I decided I would like to think that what Creature sends Harry for Christmas, which ends up being a bag of moldy maggots, I think Creature sent Harry a little gift of something that just went bad. That's my new conclusion. I know that's not the case because Creature is not a happy camper being in Harry's employ, being in Harry's enslavement. I shouldn't say employ because he's not getting paid. But I decided to be like, maybe he tried to send him like a muffin that he made in the Hogwarts kitchen that wasn't very good and it went moldy and then got maggots on it.
I like that. Yeah, maybe that did happen. Maybe, you know, maybe it did. I like that. That's a good one.
The
I'm also
muffin was
going to
also
think that.
laced with poison, but you know, that wasn't the problem.
Yeah. You know, do you have anything else heavy you want to cover? Because I'd love to spend a couple minutes just talking about.
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would love to spend a couple minutes just talking about like the scene of Christmas and all the like fun intermoving parts. You know, I caught like a couple things. Of course, you have Fleur, and it is so fascinating to me to see how Fleur is not super nice to Miss Weasley either. Like none of them like each other. Fleur doesn't like Miss Weasley. Miss Weasley doesn't like Fleur. She doesn't even make her a sweater. She makes everyone a sweater, assumably even Lupin a sweater, and she doesn't make Fleur one. Like, man, that's harsh. Mrs. W, like really?
Well, she probably knows her. She assumes her very fashionable, beautiful, unfortunately to be daughter-in-law would never wear it anyway, which is, you know, an assumption she shouldn't make because Fleur has more depth than anyone realizes at this point.
And Ron doesn't wear them either. He hates the sweaters. He doesn't wear them.
It's true. That's very true.
Yeah. And Jenny doesn't like her either, which I can kind of see because Jenny is, although they're both talented, Fleur was in the Triwizard tournament, but they're just so different, where Fleur is obviously very beautiful and probably very fashionable and she thinks about completely other things, where Jenny is, you know, hands in the dirt, she's a sports player and she's tough and, you know, smart and funny. And not that Fleur isn't smart, but just very different. So you have that, but you have that happening, right? That fun dynamic. And then you just have all these small little details that are sprinkled in that I love, like the garden gnome on top of the Christmas tree. It is stupefied, painted gold, and stuffed into a miniature tutu and has a bald head. And that's their angel on top of the tree.
And then they're having eggnog and they're listening to the wireless and just enjoying the music. And I love Mr. Weasley nodding off while peeling his satsuma. I just love that image. I mean, he's a father of 7 who's home for Christmas, and basically the whole family is there. The house is jam-packed to the gills, and he's tired. His wife wants to listen to Celestina Warbeck, and he just is going to peel a satsuma and fall asleep. You know, I just can picture it. He's got his little sweater vest on that Mrs. Weasley knitted him, and he's got his glasses kind of not on his head, but like up on his forehead at this point. You know, you can just picture. I love the intimacy daydreams I have. Like, not obviously that kind of intimacy, but of like Molly and Arthur. You know, like we had a thing last season where we talked about like Molly venting to Arthur when they get into bed at the end of the day, like almost like I saw a clip of it on an Instagram reel of like Lois and Peter from Family Guy. Like there's like those scenes in that show where Lois is like venting and you know, I just imagine the two of them like that, and he just absorbs it all and loves his wife and peels his satsuma.
So I know that Mr. Weasley is much cheerier, but it kind of reminds me of on that 70s show, the parents on that 70s show. If you ever watched Red and
yeah, that's the analogy that you had. Yeah, I don't know. I never watched it, but that's the one you brought up last season, and I was like, I know enough of the show to know who you're talking about and the dynamic the characters have. Yeah.
Yeah. So you've got that going, and then you have the sweater. Molly knitted a sweater for Harry with the snitch. And then one last thing, I just love the love that the twins had for their mom. They bought her with their newfound money in their business, which, I mean, they're probably still in the red, let's be honest, but they bought her like this big, beautiful blue new witch's hat and something else. I can't remember now, but And she was just being, a necklace. They bought her a necklace, a golden necklace.
Mhm.
And I just thought that was, I don't know, like, they were like, yeah,
Yeah.
sorry, Mom. Now that we have to wash our own socks.
Yeah, like that's the thing that was the most inconvenient part of raising Fred and George was washing their socks. It wasn't keeping them from blowing up the house. It wasn't keeping them in school. It wasn't keeping them from getting arrested because they were selling illegal magical objects they had invented. No, no, no. It was washing their socks. That's it.
Sure, I'm
Thanks,
sure.
Mom. To be fair, I think mothers who keep their kids out of all that trouble would appreciate the thank you, even if it was just for the socks they washed.
That's fair.
Yeah. All right. Well, with that, you want to wrap it up? Let's wrap it up. As usual, we would love you to grab your phone and pop on into that podcast player where we're playing right now and leave us a 5-star rating and review. You can do that on Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Most of the other players don't have ratings and reviews, but if they do, we'd love one there. If you're watching us on YouTube, you can subscribe, you can like, you can comment. You can also find us on social media.
Yeah. Bell Jar Pod, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. Go on. Give me a follow. Give us a follow. Excuse me. But I will be the one that's probably responding to your messages. Comment on one of our videos. Duet us, please. We have some fun stuff on there. And you can also send us an email.
We've been doing a series because we're doing season 2 as a daily podcast. If you are listening to this around the time that the podcast was released, you should go check it out because we've been doing posts every day with cool little things we've talked about in the episodes or polls or videos or audiograms, like all the stuff that you're hearing. There's more there, right? And there's more than usual because when we're in between seasons, we aren't necessarily creating as much as when we're in season. So yeah, go check out our social, okay? At Belljar Pod, all over.
Yeah, we worked really hard on it. So just,
Too.
help us feel good. We need some some appreciation maybe.
Yeah. And yeah, you can email us. You can find the email at podcast@followthebutterflies.com. Followthebutterflies.com is a Harry Potter blog I run. There's lots of other Harry Potter stuff there. And this week, we would like you to share the podcast with somebody who loves eggnog. I mean, that's an easy one. Who doesn't? I mean, unless you're lactose intolerant or you can't have eggs. Everybody loves. Well, you're vegan. Sorry, Brie. Sorry. Well, other than your vegan friends and the people who can't have lactose and the people who can't have eggs, which happen to be my husband. Yeah, if you know somebody who loves eggnog, maybe there aren't as many people as I thought, but I love eggnog. Share the podcast with them this week, or share the podcast with them today, and we will see you next time.
Thanks for joining.